Welcome back to another executive interview on StockTwits. I'm your host, Katie Perry. Today, we are joined by Kaan Terzioglu, CEO of Veon, a company operating across several major emerging markets and rapidly evolving from a traditional telecom provider into a full digital services ecosystem. Kaan, welcome back. I know we caught up back in May. How have you been?
Oh, I'm doing great. And thank you for having me again in the platform.
Yeah, always love to have updates after a few months. May feels like yesterday, but here we are later in the year. And I know you guys recently reported some earnings, so I want to catch up on everything we talked about before and also on your updates. Before we get into the updates, though, for people who might not have seen our previous conversation, which you guys can look up on YouTube, quickly break down the Veon business model. What business are you in? Who do you sell to? And where do you operate?
Sure, Katie. Thanks a lot. And, we are a services company, a consumer and enterprise services company who happens to have also a telecom license. We operate in 5 countries. It's Ukraine, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan. A total of 500 million people live in these countries. 1 out of 3 is our telecom customers. 1 out of 3 is also our digital services customers. Some of them enjoy our digital banking products. Some of them enjoy our entertainment platforms. Some of them are healthcare platform users. Some of them consume our ride-hailing services and classified ads. So we actually provide a range of services, digital services to our customers in markets where people are heavily underserved. And actually our business model practically is standing on one fundamental principle. Cost of customer acquisition for a telecommunication company is quite low. And we are extremely efficient when it comes to distribution of services and products. Therefore, we have identified ourselves 5 major verticals, and these are financial services, entertainment, healthcare, education, and enterprise services. And we are penetrating to those verticals, providing our customers the service that they deserve and they can never find elsewhere. In our markets, in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, what you call big techs are paper tigers. They don't exist. And our customers do not have the means to pay online unless they actually become part of our ecosystem. And this gives us a unique advantage when we offer banking services, when we offer entertainment services or healthcare services or cloud services for small businesses, AI integration into the tools that we provide them, we become their, first go-to address. And that's why when we announced our financial results, we have reported outstanding results. 7.5% revenue growth in US dollars, 19.7% US dollar growth on EBITDA, 320 basis points of margin increase. And the most amazing thing is the growth is driven by 63% year-on-year growth in direct digital revenues. Currently, we are making almost 18% of our revenues from all these digital services. And imagine they are growing at 63% year-on-year. Probably 5 years from today, when we have another conversation, I'll tell you that we are actually having 50% of our revenues from digital services. It was the first quarter that the number of our digital service users exceeded the number of telecom SIM card users. So that makes us very happy because it is a proof point for us that our digital operator strategy works. It's not about selling gigabytes, meaningless gigabytes. It's all about providing meaningful digital services. And that's really what we do in frontier markets. And I'm very glad that we are probably the only financial investment instrument available in Nasdaq as Veon and also as Kyivstar for international investors to participate in the amazing growth potential of frontier markets.
All right. Well, that was a really great breakdown. A couple of follow-up questions to that. You mentioned, I'm following the business model is really interesting. You talk about the distribution being sort of that core synergy. If you're a fintech and you're not associated with an existing telco network, you got to go out into the market and acquire those users. And what you're saying is that's quite expensive. So you have an advantage there. And then you mentioned, though, that the digital services members or users is now higher than telco. I'm curious, where are those coming from? Are they previous telco people you retained? If they're not coming from the existing network, where's that audience coming from where it's now growing to be larger than the telco audience?
Katie, the dream business model, I can tell you, look at Pakistan. We have almost 50 million bank accounts on our Mobilink microfinance bank. And on a monthly basis, 25 million customers interact, whether making a payment or consuming a nano-loan. And we have 700,000 merchants on our payment acquisition network. Imagine an environment where consumers have a bank account with your bank, merchants have a bank account with your bank, and on an e-commerce marketplace, a transaction happens. You provide a nano loan for that transaction, and the money flows one bank account that you have in your bank to the other bank account that you have in the bank. And while you actually offer financing services for the product or the service which has been bought. It's a beautiful, very powerful business model. And the fact that we can already have 75 million customers on telecom side in Pakistan, it means for us to introduce our financial services or entertainment services or insurance services or e-commerce services becomes much easier, much seamless, and much effortless for the consumer to actually be engaged with. And that's the core value proposition we have. But it is very interesting that 143 million digital service customers we have, 50 million of these people have never been our telecom customer. But because they value the service they get on digital side, either it's a bank or an entertainment service, they choose us. And of course, one day they will understand that being also our telecom customer is additional privileges that we'll offer to them. And that's how we intend to grow our business. It's unique that a company like us is still able to grow in high single digits. Its top line in US dollars and its EBITDA almost 20% year on year. And we thought originally that as we enter into digital services, we would see a dilution on our EBITDA margins. But actually, the Q3 EBITDA margin was 47%, 3 percentage points higher than a year ago. So it's not only that we are growing, we are having more customers, but we are growing profitably in these markets.
All right, great primer of business model and update. And I want to switch over to some news because I know you all have just announced something pretty big and pretty historic, the launch of direct-to-cell satellite connectivity for all Ukrainians. This is a partnership you're doing with Starlink and the Ukrainian government. What does this mean for Ukrainians at such a critical time at this country's juncture?
Well, I'm a big believer that, being with the customers anytime they want, anywhere they are, is critical for a communications company. And that's why, when we look our terrestrial networks, not only in Ukraine, but also in other parts of the world, we actually see certain limitations. In a country like Ukraine, where there is an active war going on, these limitations could be landmined areas, front lines, and areas which are suffering from energy outages. Terrestrial networks do have limitations. When you don't have energy, well, you can have 10 hours, 72 hours from time to time on battery power, but at certain point there is a limitation. So we thought, we should not allow these, shortcomings as a means of not providing a service to our customers. So we have agreed with SpaceX, and on their direct-to-cell satellite constellation, now we have integrated our terrestrial network and the satellite platform. That practically means that at every location in Ukraine, there will be connectivity if customers are on our network, our customers. That practically will start with very basic SMS connectivity, but very soon we will upgrade those capabilities to data services and voice services. But that is, I think, a new capability that we cannot close our eyes on. We have this pioneering spirit. Many companies in our industry might be thinking that these are potentially competitors and competitive technologies. I think it's not about competition. It's about complementarity. And these are really going to make our services ubiquitously available especially in a country like Ukraine, connectivity is really at the top of the mind of our consumers and the government. And I'm very happy that, today the network will go live. And, people remember that 24th of November, even if they are in the middle of nowhere with no electricity, they can show their regular 4G phone to the sky and get connectivity. And Ukraine is the first one on our portfolio of countries. Next one will be Kazakhstan. It's a completely different challenge there. Kazakhstan is a huge landmass. It's bigger than Europe altogether in terms of the geographical space. And 20 million people live there. So, only 50% of the land is covered by terrestrial networks. That's why, we thought in Kazakhstan as well, we have to do this. So we will be probably first quarter of 2026, we will go live in Kazakhstan as well.
All right, you got to my follow-up question, which was plans to roll this out to the other markets. Do you think, down the line, the goal would be to have this partnership in play everywhere that Veon operates?
Look, I think it is a must for us to integrate terrestrial networks with satellite networks. Even if you just consider the emergency services, and our countries, they are prone to natural disasters, earthquakes, floods, electricity outages, sometimes war. So it is really important that we create this capability. Now, will it be always with SpaceX? That's time will tell, because there are new players coming into the market, from Amazon, Leo to AST. And of course, we are talking with all of them. But, in my heart, as long as we can convince the governments that this is the right thing to do, because there is a regulatory environment and lots of regulatory approvals we need to get to be able to deploy such technologies, I would like to see it in all our countries.
All right, let's stick on the innovation angle real quick, because I know beyond this telecom connectivity, you increasingly lean into new tech. You mentioned AI, but also 5G, IoT, fintech platforms. How are these technologies shaping the next phase of growth? Outside of the Starlink partnership, are there any pockets of innovation or opportunity that you're particularly focused on that investors should be aware of as we look into 2026?
Sure, absolutely. And, it's no surprise that I will answer the question starting with AI. But in our words, AI is nothing about artificial, it's augmented intelligence. And we see this as an opportunity to augment capabilities, competences, skills of our customers. Practically, it means a young mother, maybe in Kazakhstan, can have an agent, an AI agent that augments her experience. Maybe a farmer in Uzbekistan can be a better farmer because he will have access to this great augmented intelligence agentic capability. A doctor in Islamabad could be a best doctor in the world, or a teacher in Dhaka. And these type of initiatives drives our investments in local language models. We call them, low resource LLMs, because, we don't work in countries that people speak English or French or German. They speak Bangla. They speak Urdu, Uzbek, Kazakh, Ukrainian. And we are the company, as we speak, building these LLMs, making sure those LLMs become really relevant agentic solutions for our customers. And I'm not even talking about cutting costs because we use, AI in our customer service. Of course, we are doing those type of things. We have been doing them long time ago. However, I think the real impact of augmented intelligence will come when we are able to provide real value on our super apps, so that people can have access to better healthcare, better education, safety, security, and financial services in a much smoother and at a fraction of a cost. And that's our investments are going on. Naturally, we are also investing in data centers that will serve as inference capabilities for these customers, as well as cloud services for the enterprises.
All right, a lot going on there. And the LLM thing is very interesting to me. Is that your advantage there? Is that due to the fact that you have such heavy use races of people speaking these local languages, that the advantage is you're able to train those models in a way that non-localized tech developers cannot? Is that part of the advantage that you're bringing to this?
I think in the AI world, there are two important differentiators. One on the side of data. You need to have fresh data, and we are blessed with that naturally. We are our customers every day consuming, petabytes, terabytes of data that we can actually train in a proper way our language models. And the second differentiator is really having low energy consuming chipsets, GPUs. Now, everything in between is about talent and creativity. And we are not short of creative, talented engineers to actually make our data, use the chipset capabilities, and convert them into amazing solutions in our own languages again, which is not the primary focus of what everybody calls the big tech. No, big tech is us in the countries that we are in. And we have to, take that as a responsibility and work with the governments, just like we have done recently with Kazakhstan and Ukraine. And we will do over the next 6 months with Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Uzbekistan, and develop these LLMs locally. And then serve those LLMs to our customers. And I believe we have currently 2 million customers on a monthly basis utilizing our agentic AI platforms. And I expect this to move towards to 50 million in a period of 24 months.
Very cool to see the democratization of LLMs. And real quick before I let you go, Kaan, the key theme, key metric that you guys are really focused on in 2026 that investors should look out for, is it expanded connectivity? Is it revenue? What's sort of the big thing people should look to as we follow you into the new year?
So look, we are a growth company. So of course we cannot shy away from not demonstrating growth at the top line. But I think what's important is the percentage of our revenues coming from digital services and the growth, particularly in that segment, and profitability of that. So starting with 2026, we're going to give a much more granular perspective about specific revenues and specific profitability of these digital services. And of course, the next thing to watch is our execution of asset-light model. You will see us actually continue creating and unleashing, trapped value in our balance sheet by selling our towers and investing in digital capabilities, data centers, inference centers on AI, and more LLMs. I think if the investors watch these trends, they are going to see a very important story to capture. And don't forget, Veon and Kiev are the only two pure play emerging market stocks that people can really participate to the growth potential on this side of the world.
All right. Well, our investors over on StockTwits certainly love granularity, and we love having you come in and share updates with us. Kaan Terzioglu, CEO of Veon Limited, thank you so much for stopping by. Congratulations on today's big announcement.
Thank you very much, Katie. All the best. Bye-bye.